Please make sure you turn in your homework from yesterday. Grab your workbook and do page 336. Again, this is our skills maintenance, so it's things that you're going to work on your own, and then we'll go over our answers. Please pause the video here and let students have time to complete this. All right, now you've had time to complete it. Again, going straight through, we talked about opposites. It's on the other side of 0. So when we talk about the opposite of a negative 10, directly opposite of that on a number line is positive 10, opposite of a positive 5, negative 5. Opposites, again, on the other side of a negative 199 is a positive 199, negative 47, and a positive 50. Then as we talked about yesterday, now we're taking that extension. We're going to rewrite the subtraction problem as addition by adding the opposite. So we're going to switch it to adding the opposite. So you could sneak that here, but let's rewrite it. 4 plus a negative 3, where again, now as you're looking at it, that is again where there are more positives than negatives. So we get the answer 1. Rewrite the answer, or rewrite the problem. 7 plus the opposite of 2 is a negative 2. Adding them together, there are more positives. Here we go. You only switch the number after the subtraction sign. We add the opposite. So instead of 0 minus 5, we're going to switch it to adding, and the opposite of 5 is a negative 5. There are more negatives, so your final answer is a negative 5. A negative 7 plus a negative 2. Again, rewriting it and switching it. So instead of it being minus 2, we're going to add the opposite of a positive 2 is a negative 2. They're both negatives, so add them together. Add them down. You borrowed money, and borrowed money, you owe me more money. Owing Mr. Wall's money is a negative thing. Don't subtract, add the opposite. So we started with a negative 8 minus 8, but we say add the opposite. Again, notice we're going to the right, always moving forward to the right. What's the opposite of a positive 8 is what we're asking ourselves. They're both negatives, so that gives us a negative 16 when we add it together, since they're both negatives. Again, 7 minus 9 was the original problem. Now reset and switch it to adding, and the opposite of 9 is a negative 9. Notice this is a positive 7, and this is a negative 9. They're not the same, so don't tell me it's positive 16. They're not both positive numbers. Don't tell me it's a negative 16. These are not both negatives. When you're looking at it, there are more negatives than positive. You have $7, you owe me 9, you cannot pay your debt in full. Owing Mr. Wall's money is a negative thing. Set your pencils on down, and here again is the video. These are always available to you as well online. You can watch these tutorials. But here's the tutorial from the program. So if you are used to doing what we normally do and you have closed your book, a short video, so I didn't ask you to do that, go ahead and open it up. We're on the next page. We're on page 337. Again, even though I'm not there, we're all writing it in just like you're supposed to be when I'm there. So I walk around and remind you of that, tapping on those papers. So please join me up here where, again, you can see one worked out for us. You can see that they rewrote it. We're going to do the same thing. So on number 1, circle up the second number. That's what we want to put here, the opposite of a -4. Well, the opposite of a -4 is a +4. So then you and I are going to rewrite this problem as 6 plus the opposite of a -4 is 4. And now you and I can answer that. We've been doing this math for a while. 6 plus 4. These are both positives. Since they're the same since they're the same sign, since they're both positive, add them together and you get 10. We're always going to add the opposite. So that's this guy. The opposite of a -3, we want to see, that is, again, the opposite of a -3 is a +3. So then we rewrite the problem. A -8 plus, we switch that to plus, the opposite of a -3 is +3. And now we focus in on this guy and we add these up, just like we've been doing for a while. A -8 plus a +3. There are more negatives than positives. You have $8 in debt. You bring $3. When you pay me your $3, you still owe me 5. We need to use algebra tiles. Got them. You can use those red and yellow chips. But when we're looking at it again, all we're going to do here, we're looking at rewriting this, because we're going to write it down as a -7 plus, well, now this is where our textbook wants us to think, the opposite of a -8. The opposite of that second number is a +8. So that's why we're going to change this to a -7 plus the opposite of a -8 is a +8. Then we come over here and we add this together. Not 15. They're not both positive. They're not both negative, so don't make it a -15. There are more positives than negatives. If you had $7 in debt, you owed me $7, and you brought $8 to school, you've got $1 left over. That's awesome. That's a positive thing. One last time, the opposite of a -3, that's that second number, is 3. We're thinking about that because we're going to rewrite this. 3 plus the opposite of a -3 is a +3. And now you and I take 3 plus 3, and that's where we get our answer of 6. So again, it says practice subtracting positive and negative integers. Use algebra tiles as needed. You may use those. I would have them out and we would show that, but since I'm not here, we're just going to stick with adding the opposite. So again, we're going to rewrite it. 3 plus, and then what's the opposite of 9? The opposite of a +9 is a -9. And now we're going to do this. We're going to take this 3 plus a -9. It's not 12. They're not both positive, so it's not a +12. They're not both negative, so it's not a -12. There are more negatives. You have more debt, so you owe me $6. I'm going to go straight down again as I'm recording this video. Makes it a little bit easier for me. Excuse me as I get that fixed for me. Again, rewrite the problem. You can do it right underneath if that's better for you. A -4. Switch this to adding. And immediately after that, what's the opposite of a +2? That's what we need to write down. Now we solve this problem here. So covering up these others so we can focus here. A -4 plus a -2. That's 4 reds plus 2 reds. That's you owe me $4 and you owe me another $2. So you owe me money. Your answer is a -6. 6 red chips, algebra tiles. Don't have a lot of room myself, so I'm going to rewrite it over here. A -5. Switch this to adding. And then immediately after that, what's the opposite of a -5? It's a +5. So you can think 5 red chips, 5 yellow chips, 5 red algebra tiles, 5 yellow algebra tiles. Or we can talk money. You owe me $5. That's a negative thing. But you bring $5 to school. Woot woot. You pay your debt. You don't owe me any money. You also don't have any money left over, so it's just 0. Once again, working left to right. Keep that first number the same. Switch this to adding. And immediately after that, the opposite of a -4 is a +4. These both now are positive, so add them together. And the answer is a +5. Please, by all means, ask for the red and yellow chips if you need them. Gladly be able to use those. Otherwise, here comes our next one. So put your pencils down. It's a short video as well, so you can close your books if you'd like to, but you don't have to because it's going to be done here in a minute and 52 seconds. But pay attention and watch it as it explains. So again, we're going to pick up our pencils. We're going to turn the page and go to page 338, where it's got, again, us going to make a same type of thing. Use the information in the table to create a graph on this grid below. Notice, in order to do that, along the bottom, just like they did, we're going to put our dependent stuff. We're going to put, our independent. We're going to put our trail points. We'll put letters down here. Before we get there, we're going to put numbers going up here. In order to do that, we're going to look at that table. Our highest number is 50, and the lowest number is -10. So remember, if you're thinking about a number line, that means we got to go down 50. That's 50 just to get to 0. And then we have to go another 10 to get down to -10. So we need to find the difference between 50 and the -10. We got to go down 50 and then down 10 more. So that's why when we talk about our phrase, adding the opposite of a -10 is a +10, we need to make sure we've got room for 60 numbers. looking at these, decent guess is that we'll be able to count by fives. Hopefully that's going to work. Since our lowest number is at -10, I'm going to go down 5 more than that. So down here in the bottom, put down a -15. That means the next number is going to be a -10. I'm going to have very sloppy handwriting here. So you have a nice pencil. You can put down -5 here. I'm going to skip writing that on in so it looks a little neater on my end. So here's 0. This next line is 5, and you can put down 5 if you want. Otherwise, I'm just going to keep counting by fives, but numbering every other line. This is 10. Here's 15. Here's 20. Pausing at 20. Remember, you're writing this in as well. So write in what I've got. Or you're welcome to write in every number, but as I said, my fine tip marker here is not as fine, so it's going to be really messy and sloppy. So instead of putting down 25, I'm going to skip that line and number the next one at 30. You are welcome to do whatever you'd like. So I got 35, 40, 45, 50. Got nervous there, wasn't sure if I'd make it all the way up. So those are my elevation in feet. So again, we can change that over here and put that title. Elevation in feet. That came from right here. That's our title for that y-axis going up and down that's dependent upon what part of the trail we're on. So down here then, let's put down that. We've got to go from A to J. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 letters that we need to spread out across here. And it looks like there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. So we'll put about 2 lines between each of them, just like kind of how we saw in that video. They used every line that way, so we can do the same thing as well. So if we're going to do the same thing like they did, that means this one is A, this line is B, C, D. Again, if you'd like to letter every other one, you can. This one is my new markers, so I can write a little bit finer. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P. Oh, that was so much fun. But as much as we like to sing the alphabet, we only end up going to J in the table. So I'm going to stop there. Now we graph from the table. It says A starts at 50. Since A is on this line, we're going to follow it all the way up to positive 50. Put a dot there. B is at 49. So that's just one down, not much down on letter B on the next line. C, again, C is at 45. I don't have it numbered, but 45 is right in between 40 and 50, so that's going there. Next one up, again, right here from the table. D, so going on the D line up to 35. E is at 16, so starting on the E line, going up 10, 15, just up a little bit more, puts me at 16. The table says F is at 7, so following the F line up 0, 5, 7 would be right between 5 and 10. G is at -5. Doink. H is at -10. Again, getting these from the table. Here's I at 2, excuse me, a -2. So we're going to follow the I. This is 10, -5. Here's a -2. And then J is at 12. So going on the J line, up from 0, 5, 10, 15. So between 10 and 15 is 12. So there's a nice visualization, as you can see then. Again, they talk about hiking, wherever this might be, Death Valley, out in Glacier National Park, whatever it might be. You can see you start up high at an elevation, then you kind of climb down really fast, and then the trail climbs up again pretty quickly. So you can kind of tell how this hike's going to be. If you're starting here at point A, it's going to be nice going downhill. Whee! Easy walk downhill, a little bit more strenuous going up this hill. But if you have to walk back to your vehicle, this part downhill not so bad, but then there's this really long stretch perhaps going uphill. But that's where we're at. So you can close those books of yours, and here comes the worksheet for today.